Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Today's hidden legal issue blind spot is, what is long-term care insurance and how do you use it when you need to pay for care, to take care of you or take care of your parents or grandparents or your friends and other family members? So we're talking to George Torres, who operates River City Home Care, Sonny Espinoza with New York Life, and Joseph Warren with Financial Planning HQ. We have a full house today, don't we, guys?
Yes.
Well, this is the legacy segment.
And now it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Okay, Sonny, you know Marquardt Law Firm sponsors the show, and attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy.
That's right.
So we like to ask our guests. George has been through this, and so has Joseph. And so we're going to spring the question on you. What does legacy mean for you?
Okay, well, the impact it's made on me is I've had the privilege of helping families and business protect their matters with it. But most of all, provide them security and a legacy to leave with peace of mind that everything is taken care of when someone departs. My greatest impact, though, is to come from educating my community on the value of preparation and guiding them through the life's most challenging moments, and with compassion and some clarity as to what they need to do when it comes to a legacy. How do you want to be remembered? I would say I'd like to be remembered as a servant, as a leader, someone who cared and made a difference to someone, someone who has called me a trusted advisor, someone who has put people first. Mm-hmm. And what matters most are the lives that I've touched and the families I've protected and the trust that I've earned from these people. And I just don't have clients. I've got really relationships with my people. My people still call me from New Mexico.
Awesome.
And sometimes on a monthly basis, asking me, "Hey, what do I do?" So they've got my phone number. They know how to get a hold of me. So it's that, to me, this is extremely important. And how will I pass something down to a special one of my beneficiaries? Yes, absolutely. I want my beneficiaries to understand that everything I've built in the business and in life was done with a purpose and love. Okay, the legacy I leave behind isn't just about wealth; it's about wisdom, faith, and family. Mm-hmm. So it's important. It's important that we all feel that way. And I think some of the things that I've been able to at least give back to my clients is that over the years, I've seen my clients pass down more than just wealth. They pass down peace of mind, stability, and love for their family. It was done through the thoughtful planning, and it ensured that their grandchildren had a great education and furthered their lives for the future.
George, doesn't it say in Proverbs somewhere, I know you didn't expect this question, that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like that verse because it means we've been a good steward of the resources we've been provided.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
George, I wanted to ask you, do you have a case study or an experience where you could see the benefit really leveraged, versus the cost of the insurance product?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had numerous clients that we've sat with across the kitchen table. We're looking at, exploring options of starting to initiate a claim, getting care going, sitting with the children, And the recipient of care, we're going through very similar to a fact-finding process or assessment. What are their needs? How can we help them? And that's when we determine, they need some help and support because they're concerned about falling. So standby assistance while they're showering and while they're changing and getting dressed. But the biggest thing here is that when you've got somebody who's looking at the big picture and then sees that bucket, right? So we look at now they're looking at utilizing the benefits of this policy. And I try to help them understand that let's put it in a perspective that over the course of this past, number of years, and sometimes we'll multiply that out, but let's say it's $100 because they bought this, 10, 20 years ago, and it's $100 for this $200 daily benefit. And we'll look at that and be like, okay, well, that was $1,200 a year, right? $100 a month, 12 months in a year. And they did this for 10 years to make the math simple. So, roughly they paid $12,000 into this policy. But now they're unlocking this benefit that let's just say it's $200 of a monthly benefit or a daily benefit, $6,000 a month. Roughly, we can have that exponentially grown. And it's this tremendous amount in benefit that is now going to be unlocked, all depending upon that multiplier too, right? Because that can be to where that's going to be for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, etc. So I've sat with many families over time and I've looked at it and I've literally applauded them for making that decision because now they're not having to put their loved ones in a situation to where they're dependent upon them in different ways or having even to deplete their savings that is that generational transfer of legacy and wealth to their children and their children's children. So I think we all aspire to do that. And that's why we're so passionate about this dream team that we have here today to create greater awareness of everything that needs to be done to prepare for your future, for your long-term care incidences that people will not know until they get there, because it's such a just rude awakening for so many families that we sit with to think, oh, well, I thought Medicare was going to cover it. I thought these veterans benefits were going to cover it. I thought I had all my affairs in order. I thought that mom, now we've got to deal with this complex situation that we don't have a POA established. So there's so much layers to that. But to answer your question, and it's just one thing to wrap it up, pennies on the dollar is really the benefit of what you can get in a long-term care insurance policy if you do it well in advance and have the right plan in place.
But you have to do it in advance because if you've already developed Alzheimer's, you can't get it.
Well,
so there's probably some other medical conditions that are disqualifying too, right, Sonny?
Dementia,
So are
dementia, which is pretty rampant at this point.
Are there other ways of paying for long-term care that you help your clients with?
Yes, there are some other options. If someone can't qualify for long-term care, there is a couple of other options. If you own some permanent whole life insurance, you can take the cash values from the whole life to pay for your home health care at that point. It just depends on how much you have in your cash value. The other option is to have an annuity, and an annuity will give you a fixed benefit for forever until you pass, and it gives you that benefit, and you can use that to pay for your home health care if needed. With our company, if you've got an annuity, by the way, and you've had it for 1 year, you can start taking the benefits out if you develop a long-term care sort of type situation, and we will not charge you for any surrender charges or taking the money out early because of the medical condition that you're experiencing. So those are good things that you can do to safeguard depleting any other assets that you may have, like your pension plan or your savings. So there are alternatives to paying for long-term care.
Great. And Joseph, you probably talk to your clients about this, how to make sure that you don't outlive your money.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of different things on that. And actually, you kind of reminded me of the sandwich generation, sorry, is I've had clients who they're having to care for their parents and we help them to plan for that as well. So kind of like thinking, how can we use Medicaid? Because sometimes there isn't that plan in place. It was before we ever looked at their situation because we're working with our clients. So, I mean, the alternative if you don't have long-term care is drawing down your assets and having to qualify for Medicaid. And to do that, you have to have very little in assets, like $2,500.
Mhm.
You've seen that before, and an income that's also very low. So, yeah, that's a huge part of it. And it's making the good decisions well ahead of time. And that makes it so you're protected, you have your investments in order, and you're going to be able to weather whatever may happen, whether there is a long-term care event or not. You'll have that money. And if you want to pass money to your kids, you already, have it set aside and you know it's going to be there no matter what happens.
Well, I met with somebody one time and she retired so that she could take care of her mom.
Wow.
And thank goodness she had a retirement, to take care of her financially so that she could do that.
Mhm.
You probably meet with people like that say, well, I want to retire by such and such date because I want to do these things. I haven't met many people that said, I want to retire so that I can take care of my mom, but
right.
she just fell into that circumstance, and thank goodness she had done some retirement planning.
Yeah, it's a big sacrifice. And it's an important thing to do. So being able to, I guess you just kind of think about your money, your investments are there to make your life better, right? So you want to make sure that they'll be there for you no matter what happens. And you kind of have to think about these. They seem like negative things, but long-term care, you might die prematurely, you might become disabled. I think 70% of adults who reach age 65 have a long-term care event.
Sonny, I want to give you the last minute. What do you really want people to know? Well,
You've got to know that people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And that's an old adage that was given to us by a pretty well-known New York Life agent in Albuquerque. He was fantastic. And he said, if you don't tell people that every time that you sit down and visit with them, something's wrong, because that will never go away. That applies to people today. And I say that to them and they go, oh, well, we'll get around to doing that. And I basically ask them, do you have your wills in order? Something very simple, something very,
I say do it before you die.
That's right.
And we don't know when that's going to be.
It's too late after the fact. So, and I encourage them to get with someone, especially with you, and get this thing taken care of, because this is the only way people are going to have anything for the future.
Okay, that's it for Talk Law Radio. We'll talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.